I'm John Rodgers from Cuyahoga Falls, and we're going to do a little steamboating on the lower Mississippi from New Orleans up as far as Vicksburg in the state of Mississippi, and then back down to New Orleans. Now here's what it looked like when we took off from Cleveland. And it was a bit snowy down below. This whole tour was a sort of an interesting one from that standpoint, to contrast between the snow of Ohio and then the Mississippi River as we got down almost to land at New Orleans. We were picked up at the airport by a bus, and we ate at a place called Piccadilly. And then the first place we went to was Longview. But here is a painting of the celebration of the Louisiana Purchase in the year of Ohio's statehood, as a matter of fact, 1803, same year. So let's go over to Longview now. This is in New Orleans. Edith and Edgar Stern are responsible for this. We'll have pictures of the grounds and so forth, and this is Angel's Trumpet as we reach the grounds. And we don't go into the house, but I do give you 3 views of the inside of it that I took from a brochure. This is Holly Fern as we're on the grounds. These are quite beautiful gardens, and the trees looking into the house here. We will be moving off to the right first and come up on the house from a different angle. The azaleas were definitely in bloom. Now, if you know anything about Stan Hewitt Hall and Gardens in Akron, you would have heard at the English Garden the name Ellen Shipman. She was the designer of the English Garden, and she is considered the godmother of Longview. Here at Longview, Ellen Shipman did the gardens, but she also did interior design there. Here's some columbine, maybe you're familiar with it. But Longview is quite a nice place. It has water features and all kinds of things. And here's a camellia in bloom. See, we were at the tail end of our winter, and of course they are in spring. Camellias actually bloom in fall, winter, and early spring, and then they're gone. But the flowers out here is I don't know if that's delphinium or larkspur, one or the other. And here's a nice view looking over towards the house, and all this was laid out many, many years ago. I was very impressed with the garden, and the azaleas. I like azaleas, I like camellias. And here is the back of a bench that I found very interesting, the design on it in the gardens of Longview. This is called Lady Bankshire Rose, and I think they may have a different name for it, but being a southern person in the Charleston, South Carolina area, we always called it Lady Bankshire. And we're in a little garden here now called the Pan Garden. Cycleman here. And this is a fountain right out in front of Longview. These are kumquats. This is a citrus, and this is the one where you eat the entire skin and everything, except the seeds perhaps. right as we were waiting to start going in the garden, somebody said, "What are those big birds up there?" And I looked up there, and there are these herons, and they have a nest up here off to the left. Now, I mentioned that we did not go into the house, but I wanted you to see just a few views of it. This is the main hallway here, and this is the library, and then this is the upper hall of Longview. Now this is a map, and this is the Mississippi River flowing through New Orleans. Here's Lake Pontchartrain out here, and we were in this area down in here. Longview is out in this area, but we're going to be in there for a little bit. And my wife and I went for a little walk, and we found old Ben Franklin, and had an interesting chat with him out in one of the gardens there. Here's an eagle. We're very close to our hotel at this point. And we later went over into the French Quarter. But these are all within walking distance of our hotel. When the Mardi Gras goes back to 1857, Louisiana became a state in 1812, and in 1840, New Orleans was the fourth largest city in the United States. New Orleans today has a population of 497,000. This is very close to where I took the picture of Ben Franklin. And New Orleans was established in 1718, and they still use streetcars. And this one ran right by our hotel. We did not travel on it, but other people did. And the key to New Orleans was sugar plantations. They were the key to bringing this whole thing together. But this trolley goes down past the restaurant where we had our first meal that night, on St. Charles Street, and it was in a Cajun restaurant. This is the hotel off here. And frankly, the people on the Delta Queen steamboats, we were not on the Queen itself, but we were on others, but they would be disappointed in me because the main dish at this Cajun restaurant was pecan catfish. And it was the best meal of the whole trip, in my opinion. This is the St. Louis Cathedral in the background, and this is Andrew Jackson here. Cajun is the Louisiana designation for the Acadians who came from Canada, mainly Nova Scotia, after much persecution in the mid-1700s. And when we talk about the French Quarter is actually more Spanish than it is French. And we're on a bus tour now going around through part of the city. Because when we come back down here, we will do walking, but we will not be on a bus. Would you believe you are now in a cemetery? And they make quite a deal of their cemeteries. As a matter of fact, we get off the bus and our tour guide lady says, "We are in the dead center of New Orleans." There are about 3 cemeteries right around here. And in New Orleans, they do not bury in the ground, they bury above ground because much of New Orleans is under sea level. And so all of this is a cemetery, all these special mausoleums and so forth. This is cemetery number 3 as its designation. And it's a real interesting concept of the way they do things around here in New Orleans. all the statues and the mausoleums and so forth, and walk all around through them. And we're back on the bus now, and we're just out from the cemetery. We're making our way gradually over because we're going to be put on our steamboat in just a moment. These geese are on a park out in the city. And here is a postcard from the Delta Queen Steamboat Company. This is the Delta Queen, this is the Mississippi Queen, and this is the one we will be on, the American Queen. And it is the biggest one, but they're all in the Delta Queen steamship company. We will be leaving New Orleans, and our first stop will be this Oak Alley, and we will keep on going here. We will go on past Baton Rouge on the way up. We will stop here, and the water is where we were supposed to land over this side. The water was too high, and they couldn't, so we tied up over here and took a ferry across. And then we go up to Natchez, and then Vicksburg, and the battlefield and siege grounds at Vicksburg is our northernmost point, and then we come on back down. At Natchez, we will cross the river and go over into Louisiana to a cotton plantation. But Natchez is the one that has all of the beautiful homes. It has a lot of the beautiful homes, not all of them. And anyhow, now we are on our American Queen, and we'll be on it for several days. The American Queen is 418 feet long. It's 97 feet tall. It was built in 1995, so it's fairly new. It has 222 staterooms with 167 in the crew. And it's the largest of the boats in the Delta Queen. And they do call it a boat, not a ship, because of the use of the word steamboat. And this is a paddle wheeler, a stern wheeler, and the wheel actually is the propulsion. Now what you're looking at here, as we got on board, they were finishing up what they had been working on for a movie. And that's what is being taken at this point. And that is the steamboat that we are on. Now, we are already on the cruise, and we are at Oak Alley Plantation. I don't know if they pronounce that alley or alley, but this is in Louisiana. This is built between 1837 and 39. And it's Greek revival. We'll get to it in a moment. I wanted you to see we're up on the levee now, and that's the Mississippi River out behind. And I wanted you to see the steamboat. These are the stacks here, and this is the wheel, the stern wheel that actually propels it. I'll show you later on the cylinders and so forth that send the power to that wheel. Now we will swing, and whoops, I'm going to show you the river, the levee. This one showed the levee and how high it is in relation to the boat sitting on the Mississippi. So I thought that was interesting to show you that. And then we turn and head in between 28 live oak trees from the house to the Mississippi levee. These were planted in the 1700s. If you see moss hanging down from it, a gray plant, that will be Spanish moss. This was a Creole sugar plantation. And then you can go on in to the, we had a tour of it. I thought this cat was pretty nice. He evidently greets people as cats usually do by looking at them with disdain. This is one of the hostesses that will be involved in taking us around. We have a little bit of time before our tour starts, so I'm walking around the grounds of the Oak Alley. plantation house. And you can see it's quite a nice little bungalow. And we will be going in from the far side. This is the other hostess that we chatted with for a few moments. A little bit more the outside. See, we had enough time to get over to the gift shop, and so the gift shop is to my back, and I'm looking towards the house at this point. And now we're walking towards it to begin our tour. This is a plant that you will see out in the desert a lot, but it's grown down south too. And where I was from in Charleston, South Carolina, we called it a Spanish bayonet because of the real prong on the end of the leaves, but it is usually called a yucca. And these are in full bloom, these yuccas. Now inside, there is our hostess in the golden skirt there. And this is the dining room table. And one of the bedrooms. Now some of this I'm going to show you from postcards, but these are all still my own pictures. But some of the places, they don't like you to use flash, so, and I don't often. I use available light whenever I can. I think it gives a better feel for it. But these bedrooms are all my own pictures. And then when we go to the living room and the entrance hall, this is from one of their postcards. And this is the entrance hall. Now those were from postcards. And then outside, anywhere you are on the second floor, you can scoot out onto the little porch and have a look. Those are the trees that lead us back up to our steamboat. And this is a formal garden out to the side from another excursion out onto to the second floor porch. And this plant, and a lot of people do not know it, but it is a southern plant. It is banana shrub. You can take those little things, those little flowers, and press them in your hand, especially run a fingernail through them, and you get the wonderful scent of bananas. Now this is looking out from the second floor out towards the fields at Oak Alley. And this is in the desk in the old office there. And then I think we were the only ones in our group that went out to the garage to see these old cars, but they were kind of nice. And then this is looking up the alley. We've already started back to the boat at this time. And then on the boat, here are the main stairs. And it's a steamboat now. It's a stern wheeler, so you have to have a calliope on it. So these are the calliope pipes, and they're hot, so they have a barrier there so you can't get to them and burn yourself. And here's the levee along the Mississippi River as we're taking off, and that's the plantation house in the background, and we're heading north. And the plantation house was on the west side of the river. And here's some horses down by the levee. And then a close-up of the stern wheel of the American Queen, which is our steamboat. Now the next town we visited is St. Francisville, Louisiana. And I mentioned that the water was too high on the eastern side of the river, so they couldn't land. They had no place to land. And so they came over on this side. That's a ferry that you're looking at there. And we are in the process of being tied up along here. And they have fashioned a little expression called choke to stump. And that means that you tie up on any tree, any shrubs, anything you can get to tie up on is choking a stump. And then they put down a gangplank for us to get off of the boat. And that's what they are still in the process of doing now. But you can see there's no landing for us here. And we will go off of it here and immediately turn here, and the ferry is right over this way. And there is the end of the boat. We are not ready for the ferry yet, but the buses are waiting over on the other side. And here is 4 views inside the boat while we're waiting to get on the ferry. This is the stairs between decks, and here is the dining room. And they want you to call this not a salon, this is a saloon. And this is where a number of the programs at night were held here in the saloon. And we ate breakfast in here quite a bit, and we ate lunch in here quite a bit. But the dining room is where you always ate the dinner meal. And then on back behind that at the far end, back by the stern wheel, is the engine room bar. I'll show you the engine room a little later on, but here is a view of the stern wheel again. We're still tied up, waiting to cross the river at St. Francisville. And here is some of the flooding of the Mississippi, which was the reason we were on this side of the river in the first place. And then we finally got on the ferry, and that's a view of the American Queen from the ferry. So you can see the entire length of it, including the gangplank coming out to the front and over to the side. Now, in St. Francisville, and it was established in 1785, it was part of West Florida, and it finally was declared part of the Louisiana Purchase. And the first room we went to the first house we went to is the Myrtles. And this is me taking a picture. This is the only picture that you're allowed to take in the house, because this is a haunted house. Now, if my picture would have had the ghost in it, the ghost would be up in this area, but you can see I don't have a ghost in mine. The ghost is Chloe, a house servant, and 3 children with her haunt the house. Sometimes they sit up on the roof and at different places and so forth. The children especially on the roof. But that mirror is the only place they allow you to take a picture. So here's all around the Myrtles, and we had a wonderful tour guide here at the Myrtles. She was all wrapped up in it, and she gave us a good time. And the Myrtles are kind of interesting looking house. Nothing real special, but the haunting is part of it. Now, off to the right here, you can see some of the Spanish moss hanging down from the oak trees, and that is Spanish moss. It is a member of the pineapple family, and it just loves to hang off of live oak trees. And this is one of my favorite azaleas. This one is the variety Formosa, and I just love that color. And it's one of the most common ones, as a matter of fact. Now, if you've never seen mistletoe growing, it likes oak trees, it likes pecan trees, and it grows like this. That green that you see is the mistletoe. Mistletoe is considered a parasite, but it is not a complete parasite, because with the green leaves, it grows much of its own food, but it has to get its water and minerals from its host plant. And here is some of the Spanish moss. When we got there, every one of those chairs was full of people, and when I went to take the picture, everybody was gone. So we were about ready to leave the Myrtles now, and we will still be in the St. Francisville area, going to another house. These two little statues are an indication to me that we're leaving to go to the other house. And this is a beautiful azalea. That's the Formosa again, close up. And this house, we passed it, and you could look up this lane, but you could not drive up this lane. And we parked, and then came over and walked into Rosedown on this lane. It was built in 1835, the Turnbulls, and he was a cotton planter. And I say it starts with the Azalea Walk and two statues. And there's one of the statues. And here is the other in a little summer house in the background. And here's a red azalea, sometimes called coral, but I call it red. And then two views of the house as we're getting close to it. These are all people in our party, as I recall. It's a nice house, and we will go inside. Now, this is mostly from postcards. This is the music room. And this is the entrance hall and stairs. Notice a mural right on the walls there. And then from inside the house, looking out, whoops, this is an old whale lamp. This is an old whale lamp. And this is still the picture of the bedroom. Yes, that's my picture of the bedroom. So is that. I was hoping to see some garden from here. Oh, here we go. This is wisteria. I'm looking out of one of the windows now. This is wisteria in bloom. Remember that first picture where it was still snow on the ground in Ohio. And this is a view of the garden. I have several views of the garden here. And that's the walkway where we came in. And then over to the left of that is the rest of the garden. Okay, and that's fairly dark, so that's my view of the bedroom. And here's our lady, they call it Lady Banks Rose, but we always called it Lady Bankshire Rose. Now we're back down to the Mississippi, and I want to bring Mark Twain, a quote from Mark Twain called Life on the Mississippi. They would have a man on deck of the boat with a lead line, and he would measure the depth and call it up to the pilot house. So Mark Twain means 2 fathoms or 12 feet of water, and that's safe water. And the lead line man would yell, by the Mark Twain, safe water. He wouldn't say the 12 feet, just by the Mark Twain, and those were the marks on his line. And when Mark Twain got out into Nevada, where he was going to pick gold up off the ground, he thought, and he turned to really start writing, then he picked up Mark Twain as his name and was known as that instead of Samuel Clement most of the rest of his life. But here is from Life on the Mississippi. I had myself called with the 4 o'clock watch mornings, for one cannot see too many summer sunrises on the Mississippi. They are enchanting. There is the eloquence of silence, for a deep hush broods everywhere. Next, there is a haunting sense of loneliness, isolation, remoteness from the worry and bustle of the world. The dawn creeps in